This is a personal passion project of mine, and I am just thrilled that so many of you are so passionately engaged with this program too. This was a complete sellout, and just looking around at the room to see all your faces turning up on your Saturday to listen to some of the incredible and inspirational speakers you'll hear just warms my heart. Of all the incredible things we get to do at Vogue, without a doubt, this is the most purposeful and to me, the most precious for that reason. So thank you very much for being here. I'd like to add my respects to the Gadigal people of the Aurora Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present, and to any Torres Strait Islanders and First Nations people in the room today. We have some truly incredible speakers on our program, so I'm not going to speak for long, but I did want to also thank our phenomenal partners, without whom Vogue Codes simply wouldn't be possible. It is wonderful to have Optus on board as the presenting partner for Vogue Codes for the third consecutive year. It's fitting that Optus has long championed the power of saying yes, because today is all about saying yes. Saying yes to our future, yes to a more positive future, yes to a future in STEM. Audi, whose long-standing dedication to driving change and spotlighting inspirational women, return as our supporting partner, and special thanks also to event partners Penfolds, Frank Green, Dress for Success Sydney and Dinosaur Designs. As Jess mentioned, we've got incredible speakers talking about space exploration, First Nations management and preservation, innovation in media, and women making waves in regional Australia. Groundbreaking medical researchers and environmental engineers, and that's just the start. This year, Vogue Codes is about a focus on a change for good, providing a platform for forward thinkers and change makers using their knowledge and passion for STEM to bring about positive change in our lives and the world around us. Take, for example, the horrific bushfire season that Australia endured. If that wasn't a wake-up call to make us change the way we interact with our environment, I don't know what would. My hope is that the women in this room and all people in this room will be the change we want to see and the innovators of the future. When we started Vogue Codes in 2016, we knew we needed to do something to address the lack of diversity in STEM, to encourage more women and girls to pursue STEM-related subjects at school, university, and onto their careers. To do that, we knew we needed to challenge long-held stereotypes with the historically male-dominated field, to do our best to tackle complex structural and cultural biases that exist throughout the industry by joining together with our incredible partners to create a platform to show you what is possible. We knew we needed to empower women and girls to go for careers that didn't even exist back then, but we knew they would one day. In the first Vogue Codes in 2016, AI was actually a topic. In fact, Mike Cannon-Brookes said to me, "You should be talking about AI." And the same fear of robots taking away people's livelihoods existed as it does today. We didn't know anything about a little app called ChatGPT or the extent to which it would infiltrate and change our lives within a decade. But one of the things I love most about Vogue Codes is that so many of the advancements that we'll be looking at this year weren't conceivable just a short time ago. Every year we're exposed to concepts and context we've never considered or heard of. Looking back at the notes from the inaugural Vogue Codes, it's mind-blowing to think how much has happened since. The world is simply a changed place. But while we have a long way to go to true, equal and fair representation of women and girls in STEM, especially in senior leadership positions, and still more work needs to be done on the biases that continue to lead to their underrepresentation, the global sentiment is no longer a question of what greater equality can do for the world, but rather how we fastest achieve it. Programs like Vogue Codes are helping change perceptions. There's no doubt. According to research in 2018, only 20% of girls reported being interested in careers in STEM. Today, that's upwards of 68%. We must continue to not only create equal opportunities, we must continue to encourage women and girls to take them up and say yes. In 2020, the Australian Government introduced the STEM Equity Monitor as a way to monitor the current state of STEM gender equality in Australia and measure the changes and trends. It's pleasing to see the most recent update in September last year had a greater focus on not just women and girls, but diverse women, girls and non-binary people in STEM. While there are improvements, as I said, there's still a lot of work to do. We know that the COVID-19 pandemic completely reshaped the way we live, work, teach and learn. We know that it had an impact and that the pandemic was disproportionately impactful on women. In 2021, a report of the Rapid Research Information Forum, chaired by the Australia's former Chief Scientist, Dr. Alan Finkel, highlighted the impact of COVID-19 on women in STEM. Women face disproportionate increases in caring responsibilities and disruption to working hours, job security and paid work capacity. A report by the Academy of Science has now warned that important gains in gender equality may be lost due to a result of the COVID pandemic. Many of our incredible speakers today are academics and researchers, and I know will have had lived experience relevant to the findings of this report. More women than men in STEM workforce are at the early or mid-career stages, and they're underrepresented at senior levels, and therefore more likely to be reliant on short-term grant funding. The report highlights that job insecurity was further exacerbated during the pandemic as the stability of employment in STEM workforce decreased. Add to this domestic responsibilities like supervising children, learning from home, and understandably, this resulted in more negative impacts on the productivity of many women, especially in terms of academic output, such as journal publications, which as a researcher are incredibly important to career progression. During this time, I would argue never before has the value of brilliant STEM minds been so obvious. The report reminds us that women make up 33% of the world's researchers, playing a significant role in the global fight against COVID, despite many of them facing their own personal and pandemic-related challenges. So I asked ChatGPT how many women work in STEM in Australia, and here's the answer. As of my knowledge, women in Australia are underrepresented in STEM fields. However, I don't have the exact current figures for the number of women working in STEM in Australia. It would be best to refer to the latest statistics or reports from reputable sources and organisations such as the Australian Bureau of Statistics and industry-specific associations for the most up-to-date representation of women in STEM. I'm not a proponent of the fact that ChatGPT is going to replace really good journalism even just yet. But of course, generative AI can only tell us what we teach it. And so I thought it was relevant to ask that question today and to hope that when I ask that question next year, I'm going to get a really informed answer that tells me that women are increasing their representation in STEM fields. Hopefully there will be some exact figures available by then, and hopefully the news will be on a positive trajectory. So together with Optus and Audi and all our event partners, we remain committed and optimistic that together we can build a generation of future leaders whose experience and innovation can help change the world. Please join me in thanking our partners one more time, our extraordinary guest speakers, who are all working to make real, impactful and positive change. I'm now delighted to welcome Optus's Vice President of People and Culture, Kate Aitken.